All right, let's all have our seats. Find a pew. Good morning. This is Sunday, January 30th, 2022. January is almost over. Welcome. I think we're live on Facebook at this point, so we will proceed. My name is David Wagner, and I'm president of the congregation. Welcoming you to our congregation meeting this morning. Thank you all for gathering, coming in early or staying a little bit later, hopefully, in between our services. I look out over the numbers, and I can declare that we do have a quorum present, and so the proceedings and business of this meeting can be officially recorded and on the record. Let's open with prayer. Dear Lord, gracious God, Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day and for all your many blessings to us. Help and guide us to be better messengers and doers of your will, using those gifts that you have graciously given. Now we ask that you guide our thoughts, words, and actions so that all we do may bring glory to you and grow your kingdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Our agenda today for this congregational meeting, a special call meeting, is pretty simple, straightforward. There's two items. One is the vote for the candidates that were published for the members of the Endowment Committee. So we will move to that order first. The second order is a congregational involvement exercise that I hope you'll join in and enjoy. So first, the election of Endowment Committee members. The St. Mark's Endowment was established by the congregation at its November the 14th, 2021 annual congregational meeting. The annual meeting is where we voted to establish the endowment, and it is now in the current bylaws of the Constitution. The endowment provides a vehicle for planned and legacy giving to St. Mark's, which will be used to support special needs and ministries in perpetuity. The endowment is managed and will be managed by the Endowment Committee, and that is comprised of 3 members elected by the congregation, the senior pastor, and the president of the congregation. Basically, right now, there has been some contributions towards the endowment fund, and the current balance is approximately $32,000. It is a recommendation of the council that each of the candidates, which are Jeff Shue, David Milholland, and Margaret Van Horn, be approved as the members of the Endowment Committee by simple majority vote. So that motion is on the floor at the present time. And I offer the opportunity for any questions or comments at this point. Hearing none, we will move towards voting. There are ballots available, and would you, I'm sorry, Mark, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. The question was the funds, current funds in the endowment are managed by the committee. The endowment currently is being held by the church, but the investment will be currently planned is the ELCA Mission Fund. Kathy Jo.
Do we need a second on the motion? If so, I second.
No, there's no second on the motion. The motion is on the floor by council. This is for your approval at this point in time. Okay, no other questions, comments? Please distribute the ballots. Very simple. You may vote for up to 3. Interesting, up to 3. There are 3 on the ballot. We had absentee ballots available for that on Friday and Saturday. So if there's anyone that was the opportunity to vote for online, there will be no online voting at this meeting.
Was there an email sent out about that, or how was that handled? To let the congregation know?
It was announced this week in the email announcements. The question was, how was that communicated? And it was in the email announcements this week. When you have completed your vote, please pass the ballot back towards the center aisle. There's a question or a request from David Milholland to explain a little bit about the endowment and how it's managed. The Endowment Committee every year will meet a couple of times to look at the funds and take applications. We can take applications anytime for special causes. Those applications will be available in the church office. They will be submitted to the committee for their evaluation and determination of distribution annually at the end of each year. The amount that is distributed each year is based on a couple of things. One, how well the fund accrues, increases. Up to 5% can be distributed each year. Or if the congregation so chooses, they can vote to distribute more if need be, but 5%. Each year, though, no matter how well the fund performs, a minimum of 3% is distributed out of the principal and or interest. Yes, Bill?
Can you give us like an example, like where the money would be used, like a few examples of where it would go?
A few examples. Well, this would not normally be, say generally, where would the money be used potentially? Any worthy, worthwhile, ministry-oriented condition in the community. It could be to help support special needs of anyone in the community or in the special causes anywhere in the world. It's really open to just about any needy organization or person. It could be used for special conditions of St. Mark's. as well.
Does that include special projects, even for capital?
It could, depending on the situation, yeah. But primarily, it's beyond budget, beyond normal conditions. So it's a broad range of things, and it's up to us to use it. So anybody that has in those special conditions, the application is there, fill it out, and we'll address it every year and give you feedback right away when the application is submitted. Any other questions? Sure, Pastor Dave.
Go along, have a microphone on, so I'll use this pulpit mic. And this may be saying too much. I think right now our endowment is pretty open to how it should be used. And that'll be up to this committee. I'm familiar with other endowments where the endowment has a bylaw or a constitution that states specifically that it's used for scholarship purposes, or it's used for building purposes, or particular percentages are used for each of those, as well as serving in the community. So whatever nonprofit agency is in the community. I'm also familiar with endowments of churches that are so large that sometimes a community nonprofit organization or even the community government even asks that congregation for a bit of funds from their endowment committee as kind of a loan or as a gift. So eventually, depending on how this goes, it may or may not be defined even more. But right now, it's fairly broad, and it's pretty basic right now. And thanks be to God that we're getting this started, and we'll see where it leads.
Thank you, Pastor Dave. All right, another question.
Can the giver of the endowment,
How about speaking into the mic? Everybody will hear you then.
can the giver of the endowment specify what they would want it to go to? And that would be the only place it would go?
That is not the case at this point. Yes, David?
There will be a lot more education and opportunities for the congregation to come to workshops to understand a little bit more about this, so that you can contemplate whether or not you want to contribute to the endowment as well. The larger the endowment, the more good the money's going to be used for.
Yes, this will be a developing program for us. As the monies grow, there will be all sorts of opportunities. And keep in mind, this endowment is above and beyond what's needed for our congregation's operation and current ministries. This is above and beyond giving. This is planned giving. This is legacy giving that we all should be considering. I think, David, you mentioned that when we approved the bylaws for the endowment back in November. This is above and beyond giving. We're not going to be using this to run the church. Oh, Robbie?
Is there a specified time period for these three people to be on the board or?
Yes. The question is, what is the term of the board members? The board members normally will be serving 3 years. For this first election, because we have to rotate because we elect one new member each year, so one person rolls off each year. So for this first election, of these three, one will be serve 1 year, one will serve 2 years, and one will serve 3 years. And next November, we'll elect a new member for one rolling off. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Very good.
David, I think we could answer Marilyn's question a little better about can you specify where the contribution's going to be used? The reasons that money is going to the principal of the fund, and it's the distribution each year of gains or a minimum of 3% that
Did you hear that, Marilyn? Yeah, Susan was adding to the response to your question is that it's the distributions of the funds that are specified, not the contribution to the fund.
I'd like to add just one little last bit. If someone wanted to give a gift to something specific, then it would be outside the endowment, but the church still accepts those gifts.
Oh, absolutely. The gift, if you had a dedicated gift to the church, it would certainly be accepted, but not in the endowment. The dedicated gift is to the endowment. That's what we were saying. Mm-hmm. Oh, you would? Okay. Well, we have, the results are, all three are elected by simple majority, which is very good. And the results of the election, and it looks like David Milholland will be the 3-year committee member, and Jeff and Margaret will draw straws or cast lots for the second and first year members. So thank you all very much. First time we've ever announced the result of an election at the meeting, I think. All right, so I know there's going to be a lot more conversation about this, and we encourage that either through council, the officers, or through the committee. And you now know who the committee members are, and they're here to discuss this with you as well. So thank you very much. That order of business is closed. Second order of business, and we are 10 o'clock. I think we have enough time to do this. On January, it's relative to audience participation, congregation participation, and it has to do with our retreat that we had in the middle of this month, January 14th, 15th. We held a retreat up at the Charles Mack Citizen Center. The topic was the annual roadmap, and this is a lead organization program that we used, described as a hopeful path for developing and executing congregational goals. So it's a guide to help us bring success to our efforts. By the way, LEAD, L-E-A-D, all caps, stands for Living Every Day as Disciples. Pretty good. That's what we need to do, right? The retreat sessions were facilitated by Heidi Klein, who is a certified life and leadership coach, and she was recommended by the North Carolina Synod to lead this program for us. During this retreat, we were primarily focused on examining where we are headed in 2022. Still looking out beyond that, but see where we are right now, and hopefully having success for this year. There's some handouts. Would you, for this exercise, we'd like to use, and if the council and helpers here would pass these out, a couple other people might help to get this going, and I'll keep talking. These handouts provide information and an exercise for us today. Those live on Facebook Live, you can indicate if you'd like this, and I think we can put up a link. I think Claire is going to put up a link to the form. If you can't get that, we can send you one of these, and you can email back your responses. But we'd like to hear from everyone. This is a short exercise for sure, but we'll get things started. I'll wait till everybody has one in hand. Probably should have passed these out before the meeting, but then you'd have been wondering, what in the world are we doing? Okay, so basically, the first item on the handout, you'll see, everybody has one here, is the St. Mark's commitments for 2022. These were developed last August and September, and council approved for our Stewardship for All Seasons. You've probably seen these before in that program this fall, in the campaign for stewardship. And these commitments for 2022 were used as a theme for that program, and it's the retreat. These served as sort of the foundation for our retreat, for a deeper dive at the retreat. So I'm going to call on Susan Bostian, if she's got a lot of hats on right now, yes, we have some more people that need to put on more hats like Susan, that she's going to explain a little bit about these commitments.
Good morning. It's so good to see everybody here. It's exciting. So I'm just going to go over some of the details of the 3 commitments at the top of your page. So under the first commitment, the specific goals that we set were to hold monthly on-campus activities, to hold 6 off-site activities, to increase youth group involvement, to hold Sunday morning faith formation, connect, develop plan for growing engagement with preschool families in church activities. So as you look at that list or hear that list, we're already doing, started a lot of those things. So we're moving in the right direction. Under sharing Christ's love, we committed to holding quarterly events for St. Mark's members. If COVID would give us a break, then we could start that. To hold an event promoted in the community to bring in other people, to grow support of local service organizations, and to do something to recognize first responders and frontline workers. Then under stewardship, we committed to supporting our annual budget. Now, we're going to have to do a little work there. Nobody likes to talk about money, but you can look in the bulletin on the last pages, and you can see we were $46,000 from meeting our budget last year. So, we'll have to step it up to meet this year's budget. We committed to enhancing our church property and to supporting our staff members and to support estate giving and growing our endowment, which we just talked a whole lot about. So we clearly are moving in the right direction there. So that led us, into the retreat, which was fabulous. We got so much done and came up with some other ideas of things that we might implement. And then obviously during this exercise, we want to hear from you about things you want to see at St. Mark's. So I think, Pastor.
I'll turn this over to Pastor here in a minute for a few comments. But the second item on the handout is the Congregational Values. And these were items that came out of the retreat that spoke, that really underpinned these commitments. There were 4. 1, incorporate new members into congregational life. 2, seek out and use the gifts of God, gifts of people of all ages, gifts God gave us of people of all ages. And deepen people's relationship with God. And 4, be a positive force in the community. So from these more specific goals and can be developed from those to meet those values head on. So I'll turn it over to Pastor Dave for a couple of questions or comments on that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, a couple of comments, and I guess we only have about 5 minutes or so because we want to allow you some time both either to ask questions as well as to fill in some of your thoughts on here too, although you can also take this with you and get it back to us. The 3 commitments at the top and then the 4 values, 3 plus 4 equals 7. Good biblical numbers, 7. So we got something for every day of the week right there, for sure. And just FYI, committed to spiritual growth, sharing Christ's love, and the stewardship aspect of things. All of those are we just saw those this morning at St. Mark's with our various ages in worship. Pastor Vern and Miss Sally Miss Sally, I don't know, anyway, Sally Hansen, thank you for going out with some of our kids to do a project over there. Sharing Christ's love was part of their project, and in our worship service, both as a stewardship thing as well as a sharing Christ's love kind of thing. Both Valentine collection of cards were mentioned to share with Parkview Elementary School as we share God's love in the community, as well as the Valentine's dinner coming up at the end of February, and going ahead and signing up today for that Valentine's dinner with your significant other. So those kind of things are already there and being manifest. We just got to name them and claim those things. Also, council. If you're a council member who was part of that retreat, and I think we all were, stand up. Pastor Vern included. So David, Pastor Vern, Mark, Susan, Donna, thank you very much for your presence at council retreat. And there's some others elsewhere. Incorporate new members into congregational life. If you joined St. Mark's in the last year, 2021, can I invite you to stand up or raise a hand, either and or both? Yeah. So 2021 folks, including Vern and Mandy, that was about 51 people who joined St. Mark's. That's half 100. That's amazing. Over half. That's a majority right there. And have you joined St. Mark's in the last 2 years? Raise your hand. In 2020 or 2021. So in the midst of the pandemic, church is still being church. Yeah. I guess we're applauding for you all putting up with us who are here before you. If you joined in the last 5 years or 6 years, we can name that kind of thing, but we also got to figure out how to continue to incorporate, in addition to showing up for worship, to be part of the life. And goodness gracious, not only so you know something about St. Mark's, but we can learn and from your backgrounds and your new vision here in this place also. Seek out and use the gifts of people of all ages. So if you are over 90 years old, no, we're not going to do, but we do know some right here in our midst, over 80 and over 70 and over 60, but to use gifts of people of all ages. And those gifts include volunteering your time and your talent in various ways, as well as those financial gifts we're talking about, whether it's the endowment or general budget or the money that Susan mentioned. $46,000 under budget last year. So all our gifts, our spiritual gifts, our financial gifts, our prayerful gifts, our gifts of time to do that. Deepen people's relationship with God. Some of that comes through worship. Some of that comes through faith formation, connect time. Some of that comes through other small group Bible studies and gatherings, and that's something I think we need to continue to expand and include, in addition to Thursday night beer and Bible with Pastor Vern and Wednesday morning Bible study with Pastor Dave. During Lent, we'll provide another opportunity both for me leading a weeknight class as well as Mary Ann leading a spiritual gifts class in addition to the others that are currently going on. So help us out with relationships with God in various ways, not just through Bible study, but through those activities that we can work on side by side, elbow to elbow as well. And to be a positive force in our community. A lot of times, that's how we deepen people's relationship, by being a positive force. We know that some people come here because this is a Lutheran church. Some people come here because of its closeness to their homes. Some people come here because of it is a place where they feel like they belong. They've met other people. And some people come here because this is a place where they feel like they can serve better than in other places. So whether that's believe, belong, or serve, whatever drew you in here first, we continue to expand those and wrestle with those in all four of those capacities, as well as with our commitments. I'll pause now for questions for me, for any of our council members, as well as maybe take some time to start filling this out. Thoughts, questions?
There is a microphone if you want to come up here, or, okay.
Just one more thing I'll mention that we're going to experiment with and see if we can't do something with volunteer service by, you heard Pastor Dave talk about all this stuff about volunteering, and Mary Ann leading the study on spiritual gifts, and we all have gifts
But we all have different personalities and how we want to use those gifts, whether it be in a big group or whether you're more of a, I like to do it on my own kind of thing, give me a task, let me do it. So we're going to be working on building like a profile of you and what you like to do and how you would like to use your skills, your gifts to serve here, to serve out in the community, and hopefully that's going to bring us to be more engaged with each other, with our activities, and get to know each other better. So be looking for a phone call or something to, kind of walk through you and what you're about and how you want to grow your faith. So that's something we're going to experiment with this year.
All right. Thank you, Susan and Pastor Dave, for those summaries. And now it's the congregation's turn. Let's dig in. The self-examination exercise. And I'll read this. Let's read it together. Get your hand out. Ready? What are your aspirations? And aspirations, deep hopes and passions that compel you to act. Do they align with our 2022 commitments and values? So what are your aspirations? What are your deep hopes and passions that compel you to act? Do they align with our commitments and values? And some questions to ponder now. And this is where we want to take a little bit of time for you to jot down some things, think about these things, and share your heart. Share what your thoughts, your ideas. What can we do as a church to better show these values in action? The second, what could various groups at St. Mark's do to promote these values? The third, how could you grow to help support these values? And fourth, and probably most important, where do you feel God's presence moving you and in our midst? So let's take some quiet time if we can. Think about these. I said about 10 minutes. We might have to do it in about 5 here. We'd like to take these up, but no rush. If you'd like to take these home and think about it some more and turn it in next week, that'd be great too. But let's take about 10 minutes, think about this, and share your thoughts. Okay, it looks like the thoughts are still flowing, but we don't want to rush anybody. And certainly, if you'd like to take the form home and complete it and think about it some more, let the Spirit move you and provide information. We certainly want to get information from you and get that feedback, because it's, the council tries to act on your behalf in every way we can, and we need to hear from you. And thank you so much. So at this point, I will declare this meeting closed, and thank you for being here today. And this really is helpful to help us guide our church, and we look for great things across the board. So if you would turn in the sheets, if you have them ready, to at the back as you exit. Susan Boston will pick those up. So at this point, go in peace and let's serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.